Welcome to NEXTGames video on how to beat this month's Volume 2 Ambuscade on any difficulty. Now this month's Ambuscade is against a Clot. He has the ability to summon adds and has a nasty fluid spread move. First, let's talk about the key item. I recommend going to the Home Point Warp in Forêt de Hentinel in East Ubuka territory. Here, there are over 20 leeches a short distance away that will count for your key item. You will need to kill 1 for your daily key item, and 10 if you want to do it more than 1 a day. If you do not have access to the home point, you can also try Quicksand Caves Home Point Warp 2 for access to a few worms that can be used for the daily. However, please note this is not a good solution if you're doing it for more than once a day, because you're definitely not going to find more than 10 worms there. The main move that poses a threat in this fight is Fluid Spread, as it usually hits for 1200 to 1400 damage and can spike for as high as 2400 damage. You want to deal with this move in a variety of ways. First, anyone within 10 feet of the Clot need to have shadows up at all times. So if you're not on the ninja main job, you need to make sure that you have it as your sub job and keep those shadows up. Any other real players who plan to melee also need to have the ninja sub job. Shadows will entirely block the fluid spread move as long as you have 2 shadows up, so make sure you keep a minimum of 2 up at all times. Second, you want to make sure that you limit how many people are feeding it TP. This means you do not want to summon any tank trust such as August or any melee trust to feed it additional TP. You should also have Subtle Blow maxed at 50 at all times to make sure the Carousing Clot gains the minimum amount from your melee hits. The last way to deal with fluid spread is to have all of your mages and trust outside of the 10-foot range at all times. So once you engage, make sure you pull the Clot away from them so that they are all out of range of the move entirely for the duration of the fight. Other than fluid spread, the Clot has access to the following moves. Mucus Spread is an AoE slow that ignores your shadows. Epoxy Spread is an AoE bind that ignores your shadows. And Fluid Toss is a single target damage ability blocked by a single shadow. The other thing to mention is that if you skill chain on the Clot, it has the ability to spawn an Ogode Slime or a Mirthful Mandoraga. These adds are extremely weak and will only take 1 damage per attack round regardless of what it is, so don't bother weapon skilling on them. However, they only have 5 to 6 hit points, so you usually beat them within a single attack round. Now I've tried leaving a few of these pops alive in hopes that it would actually weaken the boss in some way. However, it didn't appear to help in any way, so I recommend you just go ahead and kill these right away before they start wreaking havoc on all of your trust. 2 final things to note. 1. Epoxy Spread seems to reset hate at times, so be ready to Voke immediately after you see it used. And 2. Do not underestimate Fluid Spread. Maintain your distance to the trust at all times, or what you just saw will happen. So I'm going to switch between different katanas for this video to show you different ways to take down this month's main enemy. Any of these will work, it's just some of them are safer than others, and some of them will take longer to take down the enemy than others. The first katana I'm starting with is the Fudo Masamune on Path B. This gives an additional 25 Subtle Blow 2, 22 at my current augment level, and I will be using Blade Shun repeatedly to make sure I do not skill chain. For trust, I'm using Joachim and Olmia for songs, Koromoru for haste, and Kupipi and Yoran Oran for cures. The main focus with your trust is that you want trust that will all remain outside of 10 feet once you pull the mob away. As always, we put up Yonin and Kaka, as well as Gekka in order to make sure that we maintain hate. Let's see how the start of this fight goes with our Subtle Blow 2 Fudo Masamune katana. Here's an example of the hate reset when he uses epoxy spread. Sadly, in this instance, I was right in the middle using my weapon skill, so it took me a second to use provoke and get him back over here. Now this is pretty neat. If you look on the right hand side there, you'll see that Jubaku Ichi is now being tracked by Debuffed. This is brand new. Historically, Debuffed did not track any of the ninja enfeebles. And I made a request on one of the forums, and Zurian, Mafi, and Kisher were nice enough this week to look into it and get it fixed so that as an update was rolled out to everyone who got their Windowware 4 updated today. And now anyone who uses Debuffed will have not only their ninja enfeebles tracked, but also I'm told BLM enfeebles are also being tracked by it as well now. So that's great news, and you'll look forward to seeing that in my videos in the future. Anytime I use enfeebles, it'll now thankfully be tracked by that debuffed add-on. Okay, 25% of the mob is dead. Now we're going to change our strategies and try and speed up the fight a little bit. Now, up till now, we've been using Blade Shun so that we do not skill chain. However, now we want to skill chain to add in some damage. So instead of using Blade Shun over and over again, we're going to use Blade High over and over again. This will allow us to do a dark skill chain and get in quite a bit more damage. Now, of course, the one downside to this is occasionally the clot is going to spawn an ad. When this happens, just quickly switch over to it. Let yourself melee it for 1 or 2 attack rounds, which will be enough to kill it, and then quickly switch back to the clot. Be ready to voke the ad if you need to, because sometimes one of your trust is doing something that gets more hate before one of your swings kicks in, and it'll tear off towards one of the trust and you'll have to voke it. So be ready for that in the event it happens. Here is our first ad right here. As you can see, that is exactly what happens, and I had to be ready to voke it before it went off and hit one of the trust. Let's see how the next 25% goes with this new strategy of spamming Blade High. Okay, time to change strategies again now that we've passed 50%. I've put on the Aeonic Katana. Now this is going to allow us to light skill chain with Blade Shun. So we are going to spam Blade Shun over and over again and continue to reap the rewards of that skill chain damage, which will spawn occasional adds, but this next 25% should go even faster than the last 50 did. Okay, so that was definitely much faster than the previous 2 chunks of 25%. Now for this last 25%, let's go ahead and stay on the Ionic, but change to a Radiant skill chain and see how much damage that does. And there we go. Obviously that last 25% was the fastest with the Radiant skill chain, but you've been given 4 different ways to beat this fight depending on the equipment that you have. Obviously some of those first methods will take a few minutes longer than using the Radiant method, but they all get you there. And that's it for this month. I really thought there was going to be more to it, especially with the ads. It's possible something else is going on behind the scenes that I'm not quite seeing in my video, or that I'm on the ninja job, but really that's about it. If you have any questions, go ahead and post it down there in the comments. Hope this helps people. Have a great month.